What do you make of Banty coming back with Monaghan?
It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
We were talking about this last week, me and you, and there's many facets to a reappointment of a manager coming back. Like, when was it? 2010 that he stepped down.
Yeah, 04 to 010.
04 to 010, like, what a spell! My God, that was some service to Monaghan. But quite a lot of the time, and I think that's the point I made, is the players, like, yeah, sure, the manager's important, but sometimes the players like to look beyond the manager and who's he bringing with him. And like, the team, or at least the ones that we know so far, are so impressive. Like, Conor Laverty has been involved in Trinity coaching for years. That's his full-time gig. He was in with Derry last year, and
what was he doing with Derry?
He was coaching. He was coaching. Now, when I say in, he only came in towards the summer, and there was himself and Kieran Mina, I talked about before, were assisting Damien McEnaney, the manager, and came up with the kind of system of how they would play Tyrone, and they came remarkably close. Were they in the lead, like, with a certain amount of time to go, or came very close to nibbling into their lead? But Conor Laverty, very astute, also was with St Michael's and Enniskillen when they won the Hogan Cup. Like, he was in with them. Very good at opposition analysis, very good at that. And then Peter Donnelly, I mean, such a coup.
Well, yeah, because when he left Tyrone to go to
amazing.
Ulster Rugby, you were like, right, that's him done with GA for now. What happened there?
I wouldn't be so sure. I think that Peter was still keen to be involved with Tyrone, with the senior team, rather than his job was basically you're over all this. You've got such a wide spectrum. You're over all these, and that would involve being in the office 9:30 in the morning, and nearly waiting about all evening until the players start arriving for training for 7:30. And you think about a debrief and all that after these training sessions, leaving Gavahi 10, 10:30, and you're away from whatever time from your home. I mean, it was full on for him, and he got the role with Ulster Rugby, looking after the academy kids, which is going to, like, really test him. But, like, he comes from a long line of people who are sort of, maybe not sports scientists, but certainly management people, like the McGuckins, Adrian McGuckin from Ballinderry, and that are related to him. So they've always been in sport. He's always been involved. He was doing goalkeeper for Cullenan in the Tyrone Championship this year too. You can only go by the testimony of the players. The players in Tyrone said he was absolutely fantastic at what he did. Really grueling and punishing hard work at times, but also then, like, you know, they relished looking forward to being part of his sessions. I attended once a coaching day. He was there too, and you imagine that he's going to be this rabid, barking presence on the training field. He wasn't at all. Very calm, very methodical, and got people to do the thing the way he wanted it done, and he made sure the quality was brilliant. And I was just thinking, like, God, imagine seeing that guy week in, week out training your team, like, how much of a boon that would be. David McCaig as well, a long time collaborator, Banty, has come with him. Other thing to remember about Banty is, yes, he was there for 6 years with Monaghan, and he left then. He joined Meath. He had his 2-3 years with Meath.
First year with Meath, he went for some locals, and then he went back to his
Yeah,
own
and then he
recruit
brought Paul Grimley in. Yeah. There may have been, it didn't end well with the local guys. I remember the media reports were pretty hairy. But then he went with Tried and Trusted. He went back with Paul Grimley. He was with Wexford, and then he was with the Monaghan Miners, and they did very well. They won Ulster and almost caught Kerry, like, you know, in All Ireland semi-final. Like, so I mean, he
was with Cardiff, his club.
His club, yeah, he told me about that too. Like, so
he doesn't really seem
it's
to
not
have any let up.
Well, Banty didn't just, like, he done his wee bit of media and that, but like, Banty's, he's a football man. Like, he wants to be in a pair of football boots standing on a pitch, and whether, you know, is he a new way of coach like a Kieran Meaney? I don't think he is. Like, and I don't think he in any way advertises himself as being so.
Well, that's why it's so important to have that backroom team.
Yes, I mean, does Jim Gavin run every drill with the Dubs? Of course he doesn't. Like, you know, I mean, he oversees it, and that's what Banty would see himself as, rather than a Jim McGuinness who's going to take the training, do the psychology, draw up physical programs, all that. That's not Banty. Banty just get good people around him. He'd be humble enough to step out of the way and let them work at whatever they need to work at. But then he is the final voice.
What do you make of Ray Boyne getting involved? So he was with Tipperary winning the All-Ireland Championship this year. He was with Dublin in the past. And of course, the absolute irony of all of this is that he was Dublin's statsman in 2008, had that coming together with Tommy Freeman. Yeah. That was under Pillar. They went up and apologised to Tommy Freeman and Banty, and now Banty is bringing Ray Boyne in with him. It's
weird,
astonishing,
isn't it? It's really, but a week is a long time in Gaelic football. Never mind 10 years, really. And that's what that was. But Ray Boyne, and there was a feature done on him recently where he was talking about how his use of statistics, and the sports science of it has exploded, and it's not without good reason. The level of analysis that Boyne was talking about, where the ball travels and why it travels to there in order to open up space in this area and all, it's just so advanced. It's quite complex, and it may take players a while to get into that mode of thinking. Do
you think that was there? And this isn't to run down what Malachy O'Rourke was doing, because he obviously had a great tenure over the 7 years, but do you think that level of analysis was there?
I couldn't say. It would be totally unfair on me. I know he had dropped Leo McBride in with him, very experienced, shrewd cookie on the line. Ryan Porter was right across an awful lot of fields of sport, a brilliant fella. I'm not actually sure. I think I counted one day down in Breffni Park, they had 3 people in the press box that were running stats and different things like that. So, knowing Malachy, he's wild cute, he's unbelievably cute. So he wouldn't be advertising, here's who I have in my backroom team. Obviously Ray Boyne, because of the success he's been involved in, he captures the imagination. My God, the Ray Boyne, wow. But, not to say that Monaghan didn't have, every county is running a serious stats programme, a serious performance analysis, and if they're not, then I don't know.
Well, the biggest part about the stats is you've got to take a huge amount of information and distill it down into very, very kind of succinct points, whereby here's what the other team is trying to do and here's where we can get at them. So I think that's the big point of that. If you look back at the last year, so losing to Cavan, beat Fermanagh in the qualifiers, and then lost at home to Armagh, comprehensively enough for a finish, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Is there any sense that some of Monaghan's better players are past their best?
Vinny Corey's 36. That's a brave age for an inter-county footballer. Vinny has 3 children, and unbelievable servant and all the rest. But will he be back? I don't know. You look down through their team. Rory Baggins
is probably 31 or 2. He's obviously still brilliant, but age will catch up with everyone.
Age will catch up with everyone. He's had hip issues and operations and stuff like that. But could you imagine writing off Conor McManus? It's complete folly.
That's not what this is about now, in case anyone thinks it is. As in, you and I would never write him off. We both think he's still class.
He's a sensational footballer. He's playing there for Clontibbert, and he's shooting the lights out in the championship there too. And he'd probably be marked by 1 or 2 or a combination of the Wiley brothers, who again are young enough. Conor McCarthy's young enough. They've got all those guys coming through from Banty's minors in the next few years. He is a good handler. Ray McEnaney is still only 24, if even. No, so you're asking. Of course, there's going to be a natural falling off. Desi Moan and Vinny Corey are the ones you'd be thinking of. But aside from that, no, I don't think they're particularly old.
Well, the thing I'd worry about, though, from 2018 getting to an All-Ireland semi-final, losing it narrowly, and obviously Rory Beggan had that shot near the end that could have equalised, and maybe they could have done something different with that ball. But in 2019, to get just 3 wins from 10 competitive games, and the first game of the year was against Dublin, where Dublin had obviously started quite late, that kind of thing seeps in too when you start to lose.
It possibly does, but then the best thing that can happen is just a whole new freshen up. And Malachy was humble enough to know that was the right time to leave, and I don't know if it all comes down to that, because those players, Malachy, along with himself, Eamon Fitzmaurice and Jim Gavin, were all appointed in the same winter. That's a long time, and if you reach a certain level, and a certain level for Monaghan was winning 2 Ulster titles, getting to an All-Ireland quarter-finals on a regular basis, getting to an All-Ireland semi-final, and I would say that's a pretty good body of work. If you're asking, can they improve, that means Monaghan getting to All-Ireland finals. on a regular basis. And can Monaghan really do that? You know, do Monaghan actually have the team that can do that?
It more seems like once in a generation they could get to an All-Ireland final.
I would imagine so. I mean, then what, you know, I mean, that's the only sensible thing you can say in that scenario. Like.
And one final thing, what's Malachy O'Rourke's legacy?
Good question. Just that people in Monaghan get annoyed when you talk about, you know, the structure around it, and by that I mean the wider societal patterns, like that Monaghan have X amount of people living in the county. Like, you know, they hate that because they just think, no, we're playing well, we're beating teams in the top leagues. We've been in like Malachy. What was the first year he was in? He won an Ulster title out of Division 3 against the All Ireland champions. I mean, I think, and I could be wrong, he was in the running for the Phillips Sports Manager of the Year that year. Certainly won a monthly award, I think. Can you look at any of the Division 3 teams coming into this year next and saying, well, they will beat the All Ireland champions in their province?
No, the days of Wexford getting to All Ireland semi-finals and Monaghan doing what they did there seem like they're gone.
I don't.
Like other than Cork, like for example, Cork will be Division 3 next year.
Yes.
You just wouldn't know what they do. But it is kind of it's a very much a, you know, kind of rarity more than anything else.
Of course. So his legacy, he won Division 3 in the first year and Division 2 in the next year, 2014, beat Donegal in the Division 2 final. They lost Donegal after a replay, I think, in that championship. And they won. They stayed in Division 1 from then on. So what his legacy, I suppose, is he introduced boys like the Conor McCarthy's, Jack McCarran's, all that into the team. He brought all those boys in to play Division 1 National League for Monaghan, which was such a big boon in their development as footballers and as a county, and that's what got them to be in. Not surprised that they were reaching an All-Ireland semi-final, and former players being annoyed, feeling that they were being patronised when you're talking about the population of the county. But there's virtually no soccer in Monaghan. There's a rugby club, yeah. There's a bit of hurling, but it is a football mad county, like, and they have really enjoyed and sucked the marrow out of the glory years they had under Malachy. But I wouldn't be ruling out an Ulster title under Banty, not with the team they put together.